Good evening. It is 7 o'clock on Wednesday, May 15th. We will call to order the regular meeting of the Meridian Library Board of Trustees. Welcome, everyone. We'll begin with item number 1 on our agenda, public comment. Do you have anybody signed up for comment? Nope, no one signed up for comment. We will move on to item number 2, the consent agenda. This is an action item for us. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine, acted on with one motion, so they are not discussed. However, I will make a note to make sure the trustees have reviewed the proper documents. We had the packet come out and then an update to the packet with a couple of changes from legal on the room reservation and the public records policies. So I will presume, unless anybody tells me otherwise, that everybody reviewed the correct version. So having said that, I would entertain a motion on the consent agenda. Go ahead, Laura.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Josh. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to item number 3. We had a the financial report approval and disbursement approval. We had a complete packet in our document, or sorry, complete set of documents in our packet, 63 pages this time, I believe. So hopefully everybody had a chance to review that in detail. Questions from the trustees?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Laura.
I was wondering about the 2 payments, one to Dennis Dillon for the bookmobile and one to Heritage Auto Repair for the Sprinter, in terms of maintenance. Was that routine maintenance? Was that emergency maintenance? Where are we on those? Because we know that those give us fits sometimes.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
the repairs were pretty routine. The Sprinter is one that we had to make in order to keep it functional, and the bookmobile repairs are significantly less than we feared. We always, are one big thing away from having a large bill on that machine. So doing good so far.
Thank you.
I need wood.
Additional questions on the financial statements or comments from staff? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the March financial report and approve the disbursements.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead,
I
Jeff.
move we approve the March financial reports and the disbursements as in our packets.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I second.
Thank you, Laura. Further comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to item number 4, staff presentation on our centennial. Welcome, Audra. Welcome. And I'm sorry, could you say your name for me again? Oh,
Librarian.
thank you.
And I think you're going to start us off, right?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Natalia Green. I'm the marketing librarian and also the chair of the Centennial Committee, and Audra is my co-chair.
Audra Green, no relation.
We would like to take this opportunity to go over some plans for the Centennial and some ways that we've already started getting the community engaged in the celebration. We'd like to start out with a timeline of some important Meridian Library District events. Starting in July 17th, 1924, the Occident Club Library Committee was formed. They are considered our founders. On September 10th, 1924, the Occident Club opened the first library at Sonner Pharmacy. August 27th, 1974, Meridian citizens voted to create the Meridian Free Library District. May 16th, 1997, the Cherry Lane location opened. The bond election was November 7th, 1995. On March 27th, 2009, the Silverstone location opened. And then in October 2015, the first Unbound location opened, and the second and current location opened on April 19th, 2021. So recently. On May 1st, 2023, 1 year ago, Meridian Library at Orchard Park opened, and An important future event is that the Meridian Library at Pinnacle is expected to open in October 2024.
And I actually just learned yesterday that January 2005 was the first bookmobile stop. So, almost 20.
For centennial events and promotion, we've started working on some activities to increase engagement within the community and staff, and we are working on planning events to celebrate important historical dates for the district. Something we've already started is the then and now posts, which are posts on social media that show a moment from MLD's history and compare it with a current moment. Brian Cottle at the History Center has been instrumental in helping us find material for these posts, as well as fact-checking the posts. Additionally, published yesterday, we have a centennial landing page on the website, and it was added to the homepage earlier this afternoon. We also have the MLD History Digital Collection, which came from Brian Cottle at the History Center, which contains a lot of the material that, for example, we've used in our then and now posts. Lots of pictures from Meridian Library District history, as well as explanations for the pictures. Additionally, we have our staff blue outs, which we began, I believe, in March. And the idea behind this is that staff wear a zip up that they were provided that is branded with both the Meridian Library District logo and our Centennial logo. We hope that seeing so much MLD and Centennial branding around the library will both encourage public curiosity about the Centennial and will help staff become more engaged in celebrating this momentous occasion.
Oh, am I going up next? Next slide, or am I talking about these? Oh, no, go back, sorry. That's me. The August event is about the creation of MLD. So there are kind of two eras with Meridian, right? There was the Occident Club era, and then what's really important about the August one is that's when the people decided that they wanted to fund a library. And so kind of a civic engagement August event will happen. And then events in September are still a little nebulous, but that is our actual 100th birthday, and that could coincide with when we're able to be in Pinnacle. So we're hoping to somehow merge some of those pretty fascinating things together. That's my dream anyway. So now you can go on to the next one. But all of those things will be on the landing page. So so did you want to talk about the then using it, or you want me to go for it?
I can go for it, and then you can
Okay.
contribute anything
Sounds
you
good.
like. Okay. For engagement, I mentioned the then and now posts, which I work to create each week, usually on Wednesdays. Sometimes they'll fall on a different day, depending on what important event we're celebrating this week and if it coincides with any specific anniversaries. And for the top 3 most popular that we've posted so far, we have some slight differences between Instagram. On Instagram, the most popular were the post commemorating Unbound's current location celebrating 3 years, Silverstone's 15th birthday, and National Library Week. On Facebook, the most popular were Silverstone's 15th birthday, Orchard Park's first birthday, and the Silverstone groundbreaking. In addition to the then and now posts, we also have the Centennial landing page, and the goal of this landing page is to really provide the public a place where they can go if they have questions about our Centennial. It provides pictures from other historical moments in Meridian Library District history, as well as a section where the public can see upcoming events related to the Centennial and, in general, more information about the Centennial and the library's history.
And I can talk about the passport. So the passport is going to be less of an event and more of a kind of a passive program. And engagement, we are going to design something so that families and residents who may not be able to come to some of our big events can still participate. And it's going to involve all of our locations and branches. And at the end, they'll be able to get a Centennial kind of branded item as a prize. So hitting all families, all ages to get out and experience Meridian in all of our locations. So. And yeah, with those events, as you all can see that building right there, and there's the bookmobile. So we are working on with the programs committee on converting. We already do a lot of really amazing programs, right? And so we're just going to convert some of them to a Centennial focus with the really big events and energy going into July, August, and September to align with those key historical events that we just talked about and the passive passport, because we know not everyone can attend the big events or want to attend big events. So, anything to add? Yeah. All right. What questions y'all have for us?
Thank you. Questions from the trustees? Go ahead, Jeff.
I've got a couple. Natalia, where was the Songer Pharmacy? Do we know?
I don't actually know.
From what I remember, and I had a tour from Brian months ago. It's kind of over by City Hall. Like if you walk down the street a little bit, it's no longer the
There.
same building, but that's where
Okay.
it was, kind of on the street corner over there.
Okay. And then my other question is, how many other communities in Idaho have a library older than 100 years? There can't be that many. Do we know?
That's a really
Sure.
good
Ada.
question. You went to Ada? Ada was formed, well, Ada was formed in the 90s. Yeah. Again, though, it kind of goes into that, like, how are you formed? Because there's
Right.
the like different ones have the Occidental Club, the Optimist, there were various forms. And then when does it become an actual, like, publicly funded library? So for us, we weren't a publicly funded library until 74. So kind of but you might have a better answer.
So, in the early history of Idaho, a lot of public libraries were actually based on the state library that had a traveling library that would come out and provide library services to a community, and that was the bulk of a library's collection, unless they had a donated collection from a large benefactor. But there were several before Meridian. In the Ada one is kind of interesting because for a long time the Ada Community Library existed as an entity, but not as a library, meaning that it was a taxing entity that passed its services through Meridian to provide services to the Ada community residents, and then it formed into a functional library and spun out its services from Meridian. I believe starting in the 60s, if I remember reading correctly. So,
And I have found some really old bookmobiles that say Ada County, but they're from the state library. So, but they were serving all of Ada County.
we have minutes from the 50s, 60s, and I think the 70s. I was reading through a lot of those. That's where I found we from my study, and with the help of Holly, I believe we saw that we've had, including myself, 20 library directors since the formation in 1924. Not all of which were called library director for a long time. Even up until almost about the 80s, it was the librarian. And so from what I could find, that's about how many we've had.
Thank you.
Yes. But now I'm going to go home and research that. Anything else?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Laura.
you mentioned, Audra, that January 2005 was the first bookmobile stop. Do you know where?
I don't. I actually just yesterday found the newspaper article saying the bookmobile will launch in January 2005, and it didn't show where. So, but I have been spending some time in the History Center, so I might come across it. I've been finding some treasures down there, which, and I just found that out yesterday, since I knew she was between 15 and 20 years old, but I wasn't quite sure how old. Yeah.
Other questions? So, I don't know if we can go back to the slides, or if you can just tell me,
Mhm.
the July event, you talked about the significant, and I didn't catch that in my notes.
Yeah, so summer's also a super busy time. So I worked with the branch manager. So the July event, what we're going to do is that whole week of July 17th, because July 17th is the important day. Every day that week, a different branch is going to host basically like a birthday party for us. So that way we can kind of spread it out, and different people who may not be able to make it on the exact day can go to a different location. So Chrissy's helping with that. She's on the committee, and we're working with the branch managers, and I've got liaisons from each branch that we're going to host at each location, basically like a big birthday party for
Fun.
fake ribbon cutting.
And I didn't catch the occasion. So the August event is when the district formed. The September event is when the Songer Pharmacy location
That
opened.
was, official
And-
opening. August event was the election that the people held that made us real.
And then the July one was,
The Occident Club forming and making us happen. Yeah.
okay. Thank you very
You
much.
bet.
Okay. And Not a question, but a comment. I think I've enjoyed the then and now posters. Those are really fun, and
Thank
I've
you.
enjoyed looking at those. So great job there.
Everyone loves Figaro.
Yeah.
I really like the picture that was just up there because I was like, oh, I started 10 years ago and we still had some of that stuff here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. All right. Great. Thank you very much.
thank you all.
All right. That brings us to item number 5, the director updates. And we have 3 written reports in our packet. Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Before I get all the way into my updates, I'll just piggyback off of a few things that Audra and Natalia were talking about. So the quarter zips, those were designed by the Meridian Library Foundation, specifically Aaron, our foundation manager, and the Friends of the Library paid $2,000 to make that something that we could give to the staff. So just wanted to shout out to those 2 organizations for allowing us to have that opportunity. With that, I will jump in and get started on some of our updates. We'll go through some stats as we do each month, some of our monthly ones, and then we'll get into some of our quarterly and biannual stats that we look at. The last month was very busy for HR. We had 2 openings that had 87 people. Most of those were for I'm gonna do this off the top of my head without looking, but it was the junior librarian, I believe, that had the vast majority of applications reviewed. And so we'll be hiring for that this month, very soon. And lots of interviews, a couple job offers, and moving along. I will say one of the things that we have in the admin building is an org chart that is printed out about 3 foot by 5 foot, and it has every position and a sticky note on it with who's in that position. And we have bright pink ones that say vacant whenever we have an opening that needs to be filled. And for the first time in my tenure, I walked out of the office the other day and there were no pink vacancy things. Now, did it change probably a day or 2 later? Yes, but I was very happy about seeing no vacancies on the positions that we had out there. I believe I was told 114 was the most recent staff count. So we are close to fully staffed and doing well. And looking at some of our other numbers here, these charts are a little hard to see. Hopefully in your packet, you were able to see these a little bit more clearly. But this shows the first 3 quarters of our current fiscal year. And the bottom is staff that have been here for less than 3 months, and the top is for people who have been here more than 10 years. And then it kind of layers in throughout. But that shows kind of a quick glance how long people have been here. So as you might expect on a bell curve, that 3 months to 3 years is the bulk of our staff. So it's always interesting to look at some of the statistics that we have here. Next slide is our foundation. They worked with the library and were able to piggyback off of the Children's Book Festival that I'll talk about in a minute. They had a Night with the Artist event. It was a very lovely event where they were able to fundraise and bring in some of the authors from the Children's Book Festival, tried to teach us how to draw. I am a horrible artist, but they did a great job of being able to raise funds for the books that we want to get at Orchard Park, and then some other foundation operations as well. So they were able to raise over $11,000. Very, very successful event, and it was a good way to showcase what the foundation is doing and what our library is doing to our community. When we look at our circulation numbers, this is a breakdown for the last 3 months of how many items checked out. The top item of each of those is youth, and then adult, and then teen. And those numbers are are very good. I'll be excited to start seeing those once we hit the June numbers, because the kid one will make it look like nothing else is being checked out for a bit. So the pages get their work in the 3 months of summer, but as you can tell, they've been busy throughout the year as well, with all the books that come in and out of our libraries. These are the digital items that have been checked out over the last 3 months. The top one being e-audio. It is by far one of the biggest things that check out. And this is a good number for us to look at, because when we've gone away from physical medium on books on CD, these have become much more popular because they're a lot easier for most people, not all, but most people to be able to use when they're traveling or mowing the lawn or whatever to listen to their books. And so it also means that we are not buying $90 CDs and then losing a CD and having to replace it. So great option, especially for those of us who lose things, to be able to have that in our pocket. Ebooks still going strong. Magazines, not that many uses, but they're getting up there. And films through the Canopy site that we have hasn't taken off yet, but we could do some marketing strategies around that at some point when we're a little more ready to push that service. So, and then just looking at how many things we added, 3,000 weeded, meaning took them out of the collection, 1,500 checked out. Great number to see from before, over 100,000. Check in a little less, and then accounts created. That means we created 517 cards in April. So that's a really good number for us. And one of the other things that was in Jason's report that I hope you saw is that we have officially crested and will not be going back down below anytime soon, hopefully, 200,000 physical items in our collection. So that's a really big number. And I'm proud of where we're at, but we have room to keep growing as we fill out Orchard Park and then start ramping up for the increase in shelf space at Pinnacle versus Silverstone. So that number should be much higher by the end of the calendar year. The computer labs, if you ever come in like right after school at one of our locations, you'll see how busy those lab computers can get. We had thousands of users, and both on our computer labs and computers and on our wireless networks as well. And then almost 40,000 people visited us in April. So the Children's Book Festival, this was something that our youth services librarian at Cherry Lane had spearheaded and had taken over some work that had been done in the past from previous employees, and finally was able to get this very large initiative off the ground. And not only off the ground, but it succeeded in being just very well put together and was well received. I think the final numbers were above 350 actually for people who attended that event. They were able to bring in 5 children book authors, illustrators to talk about their works and their process. And they also had funding from ICFL to be able to pay for that and make it into a big event that also connected with educators the night before the Saturday event. So great job to Gabby and the rest of the team that worked on the book festival and then the artist event with the foundation. Cherry Lane did Dia de los Niños. I will never be able to say it correctly. I did not do well in Spanish class, but it's a cool event. They go down to the Boise Public Library and are able to share some of the things that we're doing out here for our community, and we're able to connect with other libraries at the same time. Silverstone has been going out to Pinnacle, where they are participating in the farmers market on the second Wednesday. and they're able to highlight what we'll be bringing out there later this fall. Orchard Park did the family literacy night, and going into some of the schools and being able to connect with the kindergartners and being able to get them excited about library services. And having participated in that last year with my son, it's a great event. I'm excited when those families get to interact together with their library, as they always put it. And then Unbound was able to go out to Settlers Park and work with the Girl Scout and Empower Wellness group to provide some programming out there. So programs, lots and lots and lots of programs. 250 programs last month with over 6,000 people participating. Those numbers will start to shift as we head into summer with the audiences. We see lower teen numbers typically in the summer and higher school age numbers. And with Orchard Park kind of really coming into its own this year versus just being open last year, we'll start to see some shifts in those numbers, and we'll be able to provide a little more context with what these numbers are versus just the raw numbers as we revamp some of our back end statistical keeping over the next few months. And pictures of the book festival, an art project here at Cherry, and then the outset of Silverstone. So that is everything that I had on mine. I wanted to try and, I also had a note, $3,000 from the Friends for the Children's Book, to put it together. So the Friends provided $3,000 to make the book festival a reality. So it's not a cheap event to put together. Took a lot of time and money, and we are very appreciative of our sponsors and our partners. So
Thank you, Nick. Questions, comments from the trustees?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Josh.
Nick, do you have an update on the signage for Orchard Park? I know there was some discussion with ACHD and talk about monument signage and that sort of thing.
So I have a partial update. We are working with Trademark, I believe, to see what our signage options are on the building itself. In terms of on the road, we can't do some of the blue signs that have the typical library one on Chinden, but we might be able to do it on Linder in a couple of different places. The Idaho Transportation Department will not allow those signs on the state highway, but there's hopefully we'll be able to work with the new landlord out there to get on the monument piece, because that would be nice. But the primary focus right now has been to get a new sign on the northwest facing corners possibly, to highlight that says Meridian Library District so that you can see it from Chinden. We had resisted doing that initially because the buildings that are going to be north of the building will eventually block the sight line of that. But because those are not imminently going to be there, we believe it's a good use of our resources to put signs up there, because you can't tell what it is currently without the development coming online as fast as we had hoped. There were some other pieces that I thought would have already been in place now with those buildings that will go in, but because those have been delayed, our plans need to shift as well. So we're looking at that, but we're also looking at signage at Unbound and Pinnacle to kind of work with Trademark to do all of them at the same time, so that we can kind of streamline that process and have some consistency with how we design and how we brand those signage.
I have a question and a comment. So the checkout number over 100,000, is that a first or close or? I don't-
I do not know, but I can look. I would assume not.
Okay.
Having been on the front lines of putting books away before, I would have guessed that it happened a long time ago, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
It may
I'd
very
have,
well
I would
have.
have to look.
It may very well have, and I just didn't register for me. But that's still a phenomenal number. I mean, at that run rate, 1.2 million items a year. So got to update my statistics that I quote. So super exciting. Unbound and the construction project that's happening in downtown Meridian.
Yeah.
I ran into a lady in the parking lot that couldn't find it today. It's right there. But has activity at Unbound been affected by construction?
To a degree, it has. That's unavoidable. I know a lot of the merchants down there on the Idaho and Second area have been, severely impacted. Our team has done a pretty good job of making sure that we have good programs and bringing in partners to make those programs bigger, which helps sustain some of the foot traffic to Unbound. The numbers I'd have to look, I'm guessing are down, but probably not that much. I heard last week when they had their networking breakfast that they actually had 30 people at that networking breakfast, which is just a huge number for a business event for us, especially one that takes place before 8 a.m. So it was really impressive to see that. But I don't know to what degree the overall impact has been.
Thank you.
I know it's not fun, but it will mean that we don't have to have that road torn up as much going forward with the projects that they're doing. So
Mhm. Infrastructure has to be built, but that is a tough one. Down there
those
right
20-foot deep sewers from 60 years ago are not doing us any favors today.
now. Okay. Other questions? Comments? All right then. Thank you. We will move on to item number 6 on our agenda, a late open on June 28th. We did have a memo on this topic in our packet. Getting ready for the effective date of House 710, which is July 1st, and what that will mean for operations and staff. So an opportunity to do some staff training. Additional comment?
We don't know what this looks like, depending on what comes out of this meeting next month. I'd like to be able to talk to all staff at the same time to make sure that everyone's on the same page with any changes and talking points to be able to go into July, since HB 710 will go into effect on July 1st, to be able to make sure that everyone is prepared and is supported in going forward with that. And so having an all staff meeting that morning and being able to then have a delayed open. And so instead of opening it at 9, opening it at noon on that day.
Comments? I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Laura.
I move that we approve a late open on June 28th.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Josh. Further comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to item number 7 on our agenda, or 7A, I should say. We have 2 job descriptions in our packets this evening. The first is the recruitment coordinator, and both red line and a clean version in our packets. Questions or comments? Anything from staff?
No, not really. Just a little more cleanup than was consent agenda worthy. The only reason the digitization technician was not in consent is because it is changing who the supervisor will be. And then the recruitment coordinator is still a fairly new position. So we're just cleaning up so it's more in line with our current expectations of that position.
Excellent, thank you. Questions from the trustees? Hearing none. Nick, I just had one small typo. In the first sentence, it says, use a friendly customer service oriented approach to
I'm
response.
sorry, Madam Chair, what Which document?
Oh, I'm sorry, the recruitment coordinator.
Okay.
Customer service oriented approach to responsibly recruiting with the Meridian Library District. To responsibly recruit, I think. Okay. So with that change being considered, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Laura.
I move that we approve the recruitment coordinator position with the minor edit.
Thank you.
Second that?
Thank you, Jeff. Further comment? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7B, digitization technician. I said that on the first try. Also in our packet, nothing to add from staff. Comments, questions from the trustees? All right, entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Laura.
I move that we approve the digitation technician job description.
Thank you.
Second that?
Thank you, Jeff. Further comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to item number 8, the service charge and fees policy, also in our packet in red line and clean version. Anything to add here, Nick?
The biggest thing on there is the change. Well, biggest for me at least was the change from how we charge some of the things. Let me make sure I get this pulled up so I can look at it. I had my notes on a piece of paper, so just a second. Actually, that was on the room reservation that I was really concerned about how it was done. It was just quarter hour versus half hour, but that was because of the software. Changing the non-resident card was the big one here, and using data from the county on average household rate for the district to be able to make it so that we're in line with what our residents are paying. That's why we had gone up significantly last year, and then looking at house values and all the different things that go into it for how much would be a good standard rate for a non-resident. So we lowered that by a little bit to help stay in line.
Thank you. So the non-resident paying approximately what the resident is paying in property tax. So
Correct.
Seems fair and reasonable to do that. Any questions or comments here?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Laura.
I do appreciate the lowering of the rate per year for seniors, 55, and 55 is a senior. Wow, okay, thanks.
Let's pass on the discussion of age. Again, I had just a minor typo, Nick. So the little footnote reference down to the bottom, the per year for households is 140, and then that note 1 says 150, but then the math is correct. The 132.08 plus the 792. So I'm assuming that 150 should be 140.
Yep.
And then the line right below it, the 60 should be 55. Again, the math is correct on the
Yep.
breakout, but
Yes, that was a holdover that didn't get redlined, so we will update that.
that was
Thank
my
you.
only comment there. Anything else? So with that correction in mind, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Laura.
I move that we approve the service charge policy with the correction in the footnote.
Thank you.
Second that?
Thank you, Jeff. Further comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Forgot where I was for a second. All right, that brings us to item number 9 on our agenda. We do have an executive session on the agenda this evening. I would move that we go into executive session per Idaho Code 742061F, which is quoted in full at the bottom of our agenda. We will roll call in. Josh,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
and I'm Megan. Yes. It is 7:40 and we are in executive session. All right, it is 8:51 and we are out of executive session. That brings us to item number 10 on our agenda, future agenda items. We will have our annual meeting in June next month.
Yes.
And all the regular business that annual meeting entails. We will look forward this summer to talking about the financing for the Pinnacle branch, which is coming along at a good clip. Other
Yes.
items.
I have a few. So we may need to have a special meeting at some point. That would be a workshop related to the MSR design coming out and doing kickoff meetings with us for the remodel of Cherry Lane. That timeline is a little in flux, but we're looking at the week of June 9th currently. So I don't have dates, times, or anything like that, but as we get closer, just wanted to put that on your radar so that I'm not springing it on you, last minute in terms of we still have posting deadlines and things like that. And so it wouldn't be like last minute, but we still need to be able to get quorum and things like that. So that is on the horizon for the kickoff of the Cherry Lane remodel. And then just as a general note, next Friday on the 24th is the summer reading kickoff party. It is at Settlers Park and it, I believe, starts at 4 o'clock. If you are going to go, please let me know. Because if we're going to hit quorum, I would like to be able to post it and say that no business will be done. But just in case you all decide to go, just give me a heads up, at least by Wednesday afternoon of next week so that I know if I need to post that or not.
Thank you. Regarding the MSR workshop discussion, latter part of the week of June 9th would be better to make sure we have everybody there. I don't know what everybody else's travel plans are, but I know at least one trustee is not in town the beginning part of that week. So if possible, that'd be great. And for the trustees, if you have not been to the kickoff, I think everybody has though, but super fun and awesome to see all those kids signing up for summer reading. So I highly recommend it if you can go. Other items? All right, seeing none, it is 8:56 and we are adjourned.